Hello friends, thank you so much for stopping by. If you're new here, my name is Becky and welcome to Kinda Shabby. I enjoy sharing all things DIY and decorating. And if you enjoy those things too, then stick around. If you like what you see, then please subscribe, like, and comment. Now for those of you who are my returning viewers, you might want to sit down when I tell you what we're going to be doing today. I am not going to be snipping and ripping fabric. Shocking, I know. But what I am going to be doing is taking this piece of wood and creating a faux cement tile background to be inserted into the fireplace here. Now Mr. Shabby built this for me in the master bedroom and I just love it. But having these electrical outlets here just kind of spoils the look that I'm going for. So I can't wait to get this painted and get this inserted into the fireplace. I also have just a couple of other little projects that I'll be working on to show you those too. So I'm going to change clothes, put some paint and stuff on, and we're going to get these projects started. Alright, now that I have my comfy clothes on, I'm going to start getting this painted. And Lowe is just a very thin, light piece of wood. I enjoy working with this. It's easy to cut, it's easy to stain, it's easy to paint, and it just comes in handy in so many of my crafting projects. And I picked this up in my area from either Lowe's or Home Depot. We're going to need to put some paint on this thing. And the background is going to be the Waverly chalk paint in the color Plaster. And I picked this up at Walmart. Then once that is dry, I will be taking this beautiful stamp. And this stamp is what is going to give us that faux tile look. Now, if you don't want to use stamps, you can also purchase stencils. Lowe's sells a stencil very similar to this that I think is like $15 to $18. Stencils in a tile design can also be purchased off of Etsy or Amazon, and several of them are under $10. So it is just a great way to get that faux cement tile look without spending a whole lot of money. I'm also going to be making two other cute little projects with our tile. So we have faux fireplace insert going to be made with our stamp. We have a set of coasters that I'm going to be making with the stamp. And, let me pick this baby up. I am going to be making a front porch plank planter also with the stamp. It is going to be so pretty. When you begin painting something square like this, the tendency is to start at the corner, but that's not what you want to do. If you start at the corner, you just blob it. It leaks all over the place, and most of your paint just ends up just a mess up here. And that's not what we want. So the easiest way to do that is to start from the center and work your paint back to the corner. We're going to start in the middle and just work our paint back to the edges. After my paint has been exposed to air in this little cup for a little while, it sometimes feels like it's starting to get thick. The way that I easily combat that is to take a small little mason jar of water, barely dip the bristles in, get the rest of that water off of the sides, and then dip into the plastic cup and just keep going, and it makes it spread so much easier. Now that I have my first coat on this, I'm going to put this off to the side. Try not to get paint all over me. Now we're going to start painting on our porch box. It's not that heavy, I just don't want to drop it on myself. And this is just pine. I'll have the measurements in the description box below. And I don't have to cover the inside of the box completely because my plants will be covering that up, and then I will be painting all around. Once all of this stuff starts drying, then we're going to start stamping, and that's going to be so pretty. And to do the plank, I like to do the outside edges first and then come back over and smooth everything out at the top. So while these projects are drying, I'm going to go wash my hands. I am quite the messy painter. It is now time to get stamping. Now this stamp has never been used. I just ordered it not too long ago. And since I've never used this stamp, I'm going to have to condition it. And what that means is I have a very fine grit sandpaper that I am going to rub over the top of the surface, so that way it's going to allow the stamp itself, give it some tooth so it can hold that ink better. So what you do is you just sand very lightly. So I'm going back and forth this way. Now I'm going to go up and down. I'm just going to kind of rub my hands over the top there, and there we go. I have 4 different pieces of scrap wood here that my hubby cut into 5 by 5 inch pieces. And this is what we're going to be using as our coasters. Now I did tape the back of them together so they would hold together and stay in place while I stamped. Now after I stamp and the ink is dry, to make sure that our coasters are not going to scratch our surface, I have peel and stick felt. I picked this up from Hobby Lobby, and honestly, you just literally, like it says, you're going to peel it off, stick it on the back, and you're going to be good to go, and your surface is protected. I will be spraying a couple of coats of a clear coat sealer so that they can be used for hot and cold beverages without affecting the coloring of our stamp. I will be using the Iron Orchid Designs in black, and this is also an Iron Orchid Designs stamp. And I'm going to just start by coating the surface with my ink. And now all we do is turn this over, and I'm going to align the stamp over the top and then place down. Now I'll just gently take my hand and rub over to make sure all of that ink is going to transfer to my coaster. And I'm not pushing hard because I don't want to distort the image, but I am making sure that I'm covering all of the surface with my fingers. And now I'm going to lift straight up. And look at that. Oh my goodness. So beautiful. And I'm just going to set it back here to dry. That's gorgeous. Now we're moving on to the bottom portion of our planter box. I still have something planned for the plank portion, but we're going to do the planter box portion of our craft here. And again, just applying the ink generously to the stamp. And I had to go and get a step stool because short girl problems. I can't see the top of this, so had to use my step stool so I can see to hover over, line it up, and stamp. And same thing. And just go over all those outlines of the stamp and lift straight up. And let me turn this around for you. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And I will do the sides as well. And then we'll move on to the fireplace insert. Well, I've had to move the operation to the floor here because I am just too short to reach those boards on top of the craft table. So what I've done is I've taken the board that's going to be the fireplace backer and I've marked the middle with blue painter's tape. So then I can align my marks on the painter's tape with the middle here of the pattern on the stamp, so I know that it's going to be straight. So now I'm just going to do the same way that I did with all the other projects, ink it all up and slap it all down. Hover over it, see where my lines are, place it down. Straight up. Oh, so pretty. And hover over. There we go. I love it. Well, I have to say, being on my hands and knees for this project was less than ideal, but I am so happy with how that turned out. That is amazing. With just a stamp and a little bit of ink, I saved myself hundreds of dollars. I cannot wait to get this into the firebox. It literally looks like cement tile, and all I did was paint a board and stamp it up. We are nearing the finish line on all these projects, but I feel like I need a nap after being in the floor doing that stamping on that board. I'm tired, y'all. So now what I've done for our coasters, I painted the back of them black to match the felt. I then took my paper cutter and I picked this up at Walmart. It's a Cricut brand, and I cut these peel and stick pieces of felt to 4.5 inches square. The felt is going to keep the wood from scratching whenever we use our coasters. Now what I prefer to do for using this felt, let me put my glasses on. I don't pull the backing off the entire surface. So what I do is I pull back the paper backing about 2 inches. And then I hover over, line it up to where I think it looks even, and then stick it down. Then I can lift up on this paper, and as I'm removing the paper, I'm rubbing the felt down, and that just makes it so much easier than trying to position that overly sticky felt on the back. I will be using the Minwax Polycrylic in clear. This is going to be painted on. I was going to spray these, but I think they need a little bit more protection. So that's all I'm gonna do for these babies, and they're gonna be so cute when I get them styled up and you get a close-up shot. Now while the poly is drying on our coasters, I'm gonna paint the little feet that I'll be putting onto the bottom of our planter box. And what I do is I take a piece of foam, just florist foam, and I pop that in there, and that way it holds it while I paint it instead of making a mess all over my fingers. Also, these things aren't really furniture feet. They are the large craft finials, and I picked these up at Lowe's. But they make awesome little feet for your little projects. So I'm gonna pop these in here and get these painted. And I'm going to be using the color Elephant, and it is a Waverly paint that I pick up from Walmart. And then while they're drying, I'm going to cut out my stencil on my Silhouette Cameo for our planter box. Well, here is the stencil that I cut out with my Silhouette Cameo that I'm going to be applying to the flank portion of our planter box. Now for the letters, for the words, I will be filling those in with the Waverly chalk paint in the color Elephant, and that's the same color that I painted our little feet with. Then for the cute little wreath here, I'll be using another Waverly paint in the color Moss. When I do a larger stencil this size here, I always mark it, and I've got my blue painter's tape here, and it makes it so much easier. So to begin with, I just line up all my marks, and then when everything is lined up, I tape half of it down. If I pulled the backer off of this and tried to put the whole thing down at one time, it wouldn't be straight. So I've just found it much easier to do portions at a time. I will pull the backer off. Cut off the excess paper there, starting in the middle here. Then I save this tape because I'm going to use it to tape off the letters so I don't get paint all on the outside. Now I'm just going to come over this way, remove the rest of the backer, and then start in the middle here and work that down. And then once I have that down, I just take my fingers and gently rub over the design to really get that stencil stuck down. And now that that's all stuck down, I will remove the transfer tape. And it's easier if you just take it, instead of trying to pull it up, just lean it back across your project and just kind of rock it back and forth. And I do save these and reuse them because they will be sticky for other projects for quite a long time. So there's our stencil applied. It's going to be so cute, and the next time you see it, it'll be all styled up and ready to go. These coasters are a quick and easy project that crafters of any skill level can make. And how cute are these little espresso cups? If you've never had Cuban coffee, you don't know what you're missing. And of course, YouTube is the best place to find videos on how to brew that perfect pot. How beautiful is this planter? I simply adore it from top to bottom, from the sweet stencil to the stamping and the decorative feet, and it certainly upgrades the look of this faux fern. What a lovely addition this would make to any front porch. I couldn't be happier with how this project turned out. I love everything about it. Such a high-end look for a budget-friendly DIY. It covers those unsightly electrical outlets and provides the perfect backdrop for my battery-operated candles. Now remember, this technique should not be used for a real functioning fireplace. Thank you so much for being here today. Please subscribe for more kinda shabby but always chic, crafty inspirations. Until next week, my friends, be blessed.